When I eventually stopped acting, his hands were already on my waist. I was riding his lap 1 second, his breath stopped against his neck, and then he slowly and confidently drew me in with both hands, as if he had been holding me back all night. I'm still unsure if he uttered my name or just breathed it. I just know that the couch wasn't where the moment began. When I knocked on his home to ask for assistance, it started hours earlier. Let me ask you a question before I explain how a straightforward favor morphed into me rubbing my body against his, and why he didn't push me away. Would you have halted or followed my path perfectly if an older person had held you that way? Tell me in the comments. Every word was read by me. He appears even more attractive at my doorway than I had imagined. There's something about older men's demeanor, steady, grounded, and utterly unconscious of their own beauty. The entire room changes as soon as he enters. He is simply removing his shoes, adjusting the strap of his tool bag, and grinning warmly at me without doing anything particularly noteworthy. However, I sense it in every part of my body. I attempt to appear nonchalant as I lead him into the kitchen, but every stride he takes behind me causes my pulse to quicken. His hair appears silver rather than grey due to the way the afternoon light hits him. And when he asks me what happened to the faucet, his deep, low voice fills the room. I show him, but my eyes are hardly focused on the faucet. I'm observing him, his unreserved kneeling position, the ease with which he leans forward. When he reaches for the pipe, his shoulders shift beneath his shirt. I take a deeper look than is necessary, near enough to experience some of his warmth. He's close enough that his arm touches my hip when he shifts. He offers a quiet apology, but doesn't go too far. I give him a towel, and we rub our fingers together. I can tell he felt it, but he clears his throat and concentrates more on the task at hand. When he calls for the wrench, his voice falters. He breathed slowly. He's making an effort to maintain his dignity, which paradoxically exacerbates the situation. He completes the repair in a flash and gets up as I do. His breath touched my cheek as his chest briefly pressed against mine as we nearly collided. I put a hand on his arm to stabilize myself, intending to take a step back but failing to do so. He looks at me, uncertain and patient, and he doesn't take his eyes off of me. I decide I'm not done with him yet at that point. I ask him to sit for a minute without even seeming to think twice. He follows me into the living room after giving me the kind of courteous little nod that older guys give when they don't want to be read into anything. I choose the sofa over the chair, sinking into the center cushion as if it were the most obvious option. The distance between us vanishes more quickly than either of us anticipated when he seats next to me. Neither of us moves away, as our thighs barely contact and then settle. At first, we discuss the faucet, but the words hardly register. His warm, low voice filling the room and the way he leans forward when he chuckles are what keep my attention. His body moves with me whenever I do, being tactful and cautious while attempting to maintain his civility, but his eyes convey a different message. His fingertips touch mine as he takes the mug of water I've given him. His hand remains near mine on the couch cushion as he gently clears his throat. The more at ease he attempts to project, the more I am drawn to him. I approach him just enough so that my knee brushes against his. For a brief while, his breath catches, but it's hardly obvious unless you're staring at him as intently as I am. I lean toward him and brush his arm as I pretend to pay attention to the talk, but then I giggle at something he says. He freezes in a way that indicates he is experiencing every aspect of this as much as I am, not because he is uncomfortable. I place my hand lightly on his thigh after allowing the warm, heavy silence to settle. Not a daring gesture, nothing he may consider improper, simply a touch that lasts long enough to cause tension to build between us. His eyes, wide with the kind of control he's not used to needing, dart down to where my hand is resting and then back up to mine. I only need his non-movement of my hand as consent. Something inside of me opens when he doesn't move my hand. I move slightly closer, taking my time so he can stop me. He doesn't. I can sense the little deepening of his breath in the space between us. His entire body stiffens, as if he's struggling with himself as I move my fingers up his thigh just far enough to feel his warmth against my palm. He makes an effort to talk, but his words fall short. This may or may not be the case. At the conclusion of the statement, his voice breaks, silent and shaky. If it didn't increase my desire for him, it would be lovely. When I mumble that he doesn't have to finish, I lean, close enough to touch the corner of his jaw. I get a chill from that tiny sound when he lets out a sharp exhale. He hesitates before raising his hand, as if to silently request permission. When it gently and warmly lands at my waist, I quickly give in to the contact. It feels like everything tilts at that one point of touch. I gently grab his wrist and guide it up, positioning it between my hip and ribs where I want him, as he tries to balance himself by holding onto the couch cushion with his other hand. I can tell that he isn't thinking about the faucet anymore because his fingers are getting somewhat tighter. I traced my fingers up his arm, slowly, following the contours of the muscle beneath his shirt. His skin feels warm, and he closes his eyes for a brief while, as if the sensation is unexpected, when I put my palm on the back of his neck and reach his shoulder. Right there, his self-control breaks down, a silent surrender that he most likely isn't even aware he's offering me. When I tell him I want him to remain, I lean in again, not kissing him, but letting my breath fall along his cheek, close enough for him to feel every word. He breathes my name as his fingers tightens around my waist, rough, low, and completely undone. It's not a warning, he's letting it go. I relocate at that point. With my hands braced on his shoulders, I carefully and methodically settle over him after lifting my leg and swinging it over his lap. His hands instinctively tighten at my hips as his eyes widen. And just that reaction causes heat to erupt within of me. He takes a deep breath as if he had been holding it all afternoon. Additionally, I am aware that he will not stop this. We stand still for a time. I remain on his lap. On either side of him, my knees braced. Like he's scared to tighten them, his hands are steady and warm at my hips. It feels like a held breath in the air between us, hot, thick, and just on the brink of something we can no longer deny. I move just enough to allow my weight to completely rest against him, and whatever was preventing him from moving forward is broken by that tiny motion. This time, his fingers are harder, instinctual, and unfiltered as they coil into my waist, drawing me down until our bodies fit together, as if this were the only way the night could proceed. I carefully move my hands up the front of his shirt, feeling the stutter of his breath against my palms. He leans his head back slightly, his eyes half closed, and his chest lifts against mine as I get to his shoulders. I bend in till my forehead brushes against his cheek, and a wave of his warmth washes over me. The side of his jaw is touched by my lips. Just a gradual pull of heat, not a kiss. He lets out a sound that is so low that I can feel it rather than hear it. His hands glide cautiously at first, then less carefully as I follow him, tracing my figure through the fabric as they progress up my sides. I follow the pressure of his hands like if it were the only thing I've been waiting for as he draws me in and leads me without thinking. His breath is warm and irregular as it strikes my collarbone, and I feel something inside him finally give way as soon as his fingers touch my hair. In order to sense how he shakes beneath me, I let my tongue go slowly along the line of his neck. With both hands now grabbing my hips, he presses his forehead on my shoulder and holds on as if he's been trying all night to avoid reaching for me. I slowly and deliberately rub against him once again, seizing the moment as the couch gently moves under us. His breath breaks against my skin in a way that indicates he is no longer feigning control, and his arms tighten, drawing me flush against his chest. He murmurs my name, full and gruff this time, as if it were being pulled out of him against his will. I angle him in my direction while holding his face in my hands. Our mouths are so near to one another that every breath we take together becomes heavy and thick. Our noses are brushing. His fingers press through the cloth as his hands move up my back, seemingly needing to feel every inch of me without going over a boundary he still believes he should respect. But respect is not what I desire. Not at this moment. I desire him. I move carefully once more, directing his hands where I want them. He tightens his hold, his chest presses firmly up against mine, and we move together for a long, panting period. There is only pressure and heat, a sense of intimacy that blots out the outside world, and nothing said or explicit. His jaw tightens, eyes close, and his head tilts back slightly as he grasps me in both hands, securing me to him as if he were terrified I would disappear if he released me. Everything crests there, our bodies squeezed together in a single, continuous pull that feels like giving in and being taken at the same time, his breath tangled with mine, my fingers locked in his hair. As the moment grows, intensifies, and overwhelms us both, all I can do is cling to him and take him in. Neither of us moves when it eventually subsides. We remain exactly where we are, with my legs around him and his hands warming the fabric beneath his palms at the small of my back. As if we've been doing this for years rather than minutes, our breaths calm down and become accustomed to one another. In a way that gives me a new chill, his thumb slowly circles my waist in a soft yet possessive manner. I close my eyes and press my forehead against his, allowing the room's silence to envelop us. He doesn't inquire about going. There is nothing I say that would ruin the moment. And I know exactly how the rest of this evening will go when his hands move a little higher on my back and draw me in once more. He has not yet returned home. Let me ask you a question before you leave. How would you have responded if a younger person had looked at you the way I did? Inquisitive, captivated, and unable to conceal it. Would you have taken a step back or continued to be present for a bit longer? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your perspective. Additionally, click like, subscribe, and turn on the bell if this story kept you here. The following one has more in store for you.